Good evening, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are in the world. And hello, Roslyn. Hello, Charlene. Hello, how are you? Hello, Karen. Thank you for joining. Um, this is more a talk. Hello, Brenda. This is more a talk rather than um, let's say practical readings. Hello, Mandy. Hello. And as I said last Monday, sorry, sorry. As I said last Monday, this evening will be, I hope. Sorry, come on, come on, be good. Okay, this talk will be about um, Carl Jung. Um, I I touched upon it during the other talks, but was a little bit um, just not really clear. I decided uh, to do another talk dedicated to uh, again to Jung, because I chose to base the interpretation using Jung archetypes, um, which um, you know not only the major arcana, but also, as we have seen last week, with the court card. You know, they were referring to the archetypes as well. And actually, the court cards um, were more interesting uh, than the major arcana. Uh, but there are many. This is not the only theory, let's say, from psychology that is applied. It's used for a tarot reading. uh, but I choose this one, otherwise it would have been too broad, and basically, um, you know I know that maybe this talk might be a little bit too heavier, too heavy, as opposed to the others. um but at the same time, hello, Christine. Hello, Mairead. But at the same time, I think also that can be useful to know these things, and apply them in a tarot reading. As I said before, when we have the knowledge about a topic, um, our when we are reading for someone, those concepts, somehow, through our subconscious and through our intuition, the two together, we we feel certain things. Um, okay, so let's get started. Okay, as many of you, I'm not going through all the biography. Um, Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychologist, and he worked for many years in collaboration with Freud. At a certain point, their differences, their point of view, or certain things were so, so radical that Jung decided to, not to collaborate with Freud anymore. Um, Jung traveled extensively. Um, he lived in Switzerland all his life, apart from his journeys um, uh, to India, to America, um, and mm, he he visited also the Native American tribes, which, and all these things contributed, also gave a contribution to his psychological theories. He realized how much similarity there were with, um, the way of thinking of the Native American tribes, the Hindu religion, and there's a lot of that in his theory, um, about 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 the personality. And basically Jung sees the psyche, the mind, um, as divided into three parts: the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. And hello, Barbara. Hello. And Jung basically sees the ego as, um, that that part of the mind, that part of the psyche, um, which which contains our conscious awareness, um, mm, and which is basically our identity. And um, it's also the organizer of our feelings, on the way we think, um, and how where we can access our repressed memories. And um, and the ego basically is, not represent, is the place where our our personality resides. um, and between the our inner world, hello Neil, hello Sarah, with between our inner world and the outer world. um, mm, and the ego, according to Jung, the ego is separated from the self, and this is happens when we start during the early years of our development. So we are, you know, when we are children, and especially when we are children, and we try to impress our parents, and um, basically that's when this part of personality starts developing, and is that part um, mm, that give ourselves value, um, because we feel seen and validated by others. um, mm, and basically this is how Jung basically sees the ego. Um, it is um, another side. It is another expression of the self, even though is not like the self. And uh, because the self is the real part of us, and the ego is that part that we develop, everybody develop, to you know mm, to live in the outer world. And that's why is we we have this part that is completely internalized, but at the same time is a part um, that is shown to the world, whereas on the other side, the self, it's only an internal part of us. Anyway, um, when with instead when he talks, when the personal unconscious, instead, is is a part is a part of the human personality, which which interested Jung a lot, because um, it's that part of us, mm, let's say, is the other side of our conscious mind, and is that part that we know, that we have, that we act upon, without, at times, without even know it. How many times we say, unconsciously, I did this. um, and that's a part that interested Jung, because basically that dictates the way we behave. um, and Jung Jung writes about about the unconscious, he writes, um, mm, theory, theoretically, no limits can be set to the field of consciousness, uh, um, since consciousness is able to infinite extension. Empirically, however, it always finds its limits when it comes against the unknown. This consists of everything we do not know. Um, uh, the unknown falls into two group of objects, and those which are inside and are experienced immediately, and the first group comprises the unknown in the other world, um, and the second one is the inner world, and the inner world is the unconscious. Um, what basically mm, Jung worked a lot on is bringing the unconscious to the conscious. That was uh, that was the aim of his theory, the way he would treat his clients. But there are also other elements very important, very important too. Um, like then Jung talks about the collective unconscious, um, and the collective unconscious is basically that part of the unconscious, which is which is inherited, which is within us. It's nearly um, it's a that primordial part that we have within us. That's how is the unconscious, the collective unconscious, is seen. Is seen. That's how Jung is seen the collective unconscious. Um, because the whole the whole history of humankind, um, according to Jung, lives within us, and I agree with that. And I know that it's a concept, could be a concept a little bit, uh, but if we think how the human race has evolved. I know that, you know, the DNA changing and changing and the evolvement, and it keep on evolving, but there's still, in my opinion, there's still a primordial part that we have within within ourselves. Um, um, and For example, if we think about our instinct, that is seen, could be seen as a primordial part that still is within us. Uh, our instinct, our intuition. Uh, if we think about how, human the human race used to live in you know they used to hunt for food. They didn't have, they find, they discovered the fire. um, they were living in caves. So the instinct of preservation, and we still have it. We still have it. When we detached from from materialism, from the hustle and bustle of the normal life, when, for example, we retire from from environments that are very loud, very noisy, like big cities, and we reconnect with nature, which was basically where men were human, the human race used to live. Um, we feel that primordial part of ourselves, um, coming to the fore again, rising again. Um, so um, and basically, according to Jung, this is has it's it's inherited because it's in our DNA. So it's inherited from our you know let's call it ancestors. And and also has a universal character. um, um, and more or less is the same in all individuals. um, um, it's nearly a substrate um, of our nature, which is present in every human beings. um, Hello, Michelle. How are you? Thank you for joining. Um, for example, he during his travels in China, in Japan, in India, Jung found common grounds, even there were coming from different cultures, and that he could reconnect to his theory. He found common ground with the way of a native would see um, the way the human mind works. um, that the human mind is could mm, can potentially get ourselves sick, and that's where that this is a concept that also um, belongs to Jung mm, theory. And for example, in Africa, Jung found that um, the doctor of the tribe would make the same difference between personal and collective dreams, the same thing that he did. And I was talking before, when I was talking about the ego. The ego is separated with, the three part. According to Jung, the three part of the psychic of the mind are these: the ego, the individual unconscious, and the collective unconscious. And according to his theory, to reach the self, uh, what would other theorists would define the self-actualization, meaning um, reconnect reconnect ourselves with our true nature. Jung defines this like is in his theories defined as in individuation. um, According to him, the human being is um, in inwardly is whole, uh, but um, basically most of us we have disconnected by we are disconnected by our true self. And this is not this is not a new concept, I guess, for those who are listening the live. And um, and especially listening to the messages that come through us, uh, through our through the unconscious part of ourselves, through our dreams. um, Jung did a big work about dream interpretation, and from for Jung that was the way our unconscious part communicates to us. And also using our imagination. um, oh, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. uh, Thank you very much. um, Also, through the interpretation of our dreams, and also by using our imagination, um, we basically reintegrate this part. We reintegrate with the self. And so basically our aim, our goal in life is to reach this this status, is is to reintegrate with the self, and to reconnect with it. So to reach um uh, harmony, rich balance, um, where there's, whereas before there was this disconnection, basically. um, um, and the point is also to recognize the uniqueness that our uniqueness. And through by recognizing our uniqueness, for us is, it's easier um, to get to this point, and to reconnect with our true self. um because every human being has a a unique purpose, which is unique to them. And unless this is reached, um, mm, through through a merging of conscious and unconscious. As I said before, the person can get sick. Um, so basically, yeah. There are also um, Jung also talks about um, mm, the mm, talks about projection. And I think you remember, for those who were here, you remember last week going through the court cards and giving the meaning of the court cards according to the archetype that it was assigned to every card. And then there was the reverse meaning, the negative, and then the projection, and Jung talks about projection, and this process for him is very important, um, mm, because we project. If we project into others, um, is basically we project into others what we don't like about ourselves. That's what projection is. And at times it's quite simple. It's quite simple to um, we might meet someone, and or even if we someone we know, and we say, I don't like this, I don't like that about this person. And uh, most of the times, in reality, it's something that we don't like about ourselves and that we project onto others. And there's also a nice exercise to do, about seeing what we don't like, when we can see what we don't like about ourselves. And um, uh, and then we go mm, to the archetypes. And the archetypes mm, are part um, of the collective unconsciousness, of the collective unconscious. And the archetypes uh, primordial primordial images um, that basically uh, reflect um, universal themes that we find all over the world. And they are present, sorry, present in the unconscious. um, for example, um, we find that the archetypes are the shadows, the shadow, our own shadow, animus, anima. We find also the archetype, the old wise man, the innocent child. Um, there are also nature archetypes, like, and we have seen this with um, during the other talks with the tarot. Fire, the ocean, mountains, um, and rivers. Mm, those those are also archetypes, and mm, and these have, the archetypes have been present in, in the human world for centuries, and these are, um wow, what's the word, um they basically, they are, mm, they are original patterns, present in humankind that have been given. um, they are represented by a figure, like, for example, the archetype of the old wise man, or the child. um, and in with the archetypes as well, we are basically dealing with primordial, images, um, that have, that have existed since, um, since the human race was present in, you know uh, started to be present on the planet, basically. um okay, while the archetype is universal, the content that applies to a person is somehow individualized, and um, and is mm, is individualized under the form of the personal experience of the person. Um, so an archetype can't have uh, a meaning, the same meaning for everybody. uh, According to, the personal experience of, the experience of the person, of in their life, uh, the presence, if is, is found that the presence of an archetype has a different of an archetype has a different meaning. It's not like one size fit all. Um, and again, um, mm, this this archetype, especially those with nature, are, mm, are very, very present. uh, and this is and as you can see, the travels and the travels that Jung made, especially when he was in touch with Native American tribes, or the African tribes. uh, he could he could see, because those were still living in uh, in communion with the natural world. And so, this theory the archetypes, especially the nature archetypes, are uh, are very are very present, um, and we see the wise, the wise man, the wise woman, the wounded healer. The wounded healer is a concept that, many following the, working in the, as light worker, is a concept that is well known by many. Is the healer that is wounded itself, but helps, instead of treating themselves, they help others. um, um, so eh, then we have another archetype, is the persona. And the persona is basically is that part of ourselves that we put together and we present to the world. And many When we think about the persona, uh, um, many of you are thinking about the mask, and that's the construct that we put together to be in the world and in the society, because somehow there are some situations, there are some environments, and where really, we are not allowed to be our true self. um, and there's also a component of, if I am myself, I won't be liked. If I am myself, I won't be accepted. If I am myself, I won't fit in. I won't be loved. And so all these things um, push us to uh, literally put this mask on, and um, just just to not just to fit in society. um, and it could be it's also the persona represents also our conscious ego. um, so in several the conscious egos with several facets, not only one. um, and if someone identifies themselves completely with the persona, um, we deny the other parts of ourselves. And if um, the other parts of our personality, included the unconscious, um, and if this happen, we will never reach. Every single part has to be has to be integrated. Otherwise, we never reach that individuation. Um, we will never reach that um, part, you know, to get back to our true self, because we have to integrate the unconscious also, the unconscious part um, of ourselves. If we focus only on the persona, if we focus only on the ego, um, that the individuation stage phase will never happen. Then we get to the shadow, and the shadow is the part of those parts of our personality that we don't like, that we don't accept, that we repress, that we don't want other people to see, that we don't want to see. But what Jung says about the shadow is, I was surprised when I read this, because I knew I had an idea that the shadow is important, um, but um, I didn't know it, because Jung says that the um, the, sh- the personality without the shadow can't be. So the shadow has to be a part, and one of those part of the personality. Um, and if we think about, um, and one uh, of the most important, another part, not the most important, another important work that we have to do is to integrate the shadow again, make the unconscious conscious, to become unconscious of those part that we don't like. Maybe we might know 3 4 parts, and there are parts of those other parts that we are not aware of, and the work to discover all parts of the shadow that we don't know, but integrate them, and use them, turn them in a positive way, or being aware of them, um, also help us to to know to know ourselves, to again to integrate the unconscious in the conscious. uh, for example, if we think about, mm, 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 um, if we think about the novel Dr. Jackie and Mr. Hyde, and that is an example of, everybody will give you the example of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as Mr. Hyde being um, uh, the shadow. Um, um, and as well with the shadow, it can happen, um, mm, that if we don't like someone, um, often it's it's something that we don't like in ourselves. um, and having the shadow is something that can't be avoided, and it's an essential. Everybody would be incomplete without it. um, it's like the law of polarity. It's like the sun and the moon, the day and night, and then we have, uh, you know, yin and yang, and then the light and the shadow. Um, and we are at 10 to 9. Oh my gosh! And I bet you are all bored. And anima, mm, anima and animus are another other two archetypes, and these um, mm, are basically um, the animus and anima um, is yes, Christine, it does. It does. Uh, they are the personification of the masculine and the feminine side in a man and in a in a woman, and animus and anima they manifest themselves um, sometimes as dreams and fantasies, like the ideal man, the ideal Prince Charming, or the like the girl next door, the dream girl, um, um, and mm, with from a psychological point of view, um, they they are um, as regulators of our behavior. um, they are the most influential archetypes. I, I don't know if you have ever heard that's because someone as their masculine side is more prominent in, for example, in a woman, or uh, when when this happen, there's an imbalance, and the animals and the animal should they are like a door, like a bridge, um, that that bring us to that bring to the collective unconscious, um, mm, to the collective unconscious, as as the persona, um, as the persona we construct is, the way we present into the world. um, and the anima is the archetype that symbolize the unconscious female part of the male of the masculine psyche. um, for example, the the thought or the tendencies that are defined are as feminine in a man. Um, anima is a word that is derives, it's a Latin is the Latin word for soul, or for for soul, um, and in our society, where women, in the past, and sometimes at times in certain societies, women are dominated by men. uh, the presence of anima is important. Why? because if there's no, those traits are not present at all in a man, there's no, how can I say, there's no empathy, there's no, mm, in in that way, somehow, even if are repressed or are not very prominent, uh, but you know a man could somehow put themselves in a woman's shoes, and the anima is also the personification of the feminine values, um, and with regard to this, Jung writes that every man carries within the eternal image of a woman, um, uh, not the image of this or that particular, of that particular woman, but a definitive feminine image, um, and this image is unconscious. Uh, since this image is unconscious and is one of, mm, is is why, this is the reason why man has, you know uh, is attracted, but at the same time feels the need to dominate the woman. um, Quite interesting, isn't it? And it's 9 o'clock. Hmm. Now, I don't know if I can um, mm, continue for another 5 minutes. I would like, um, Stace, do you think I continue? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Another 5 minutes. I won't keep you longer. Um, we are nearly actually at the end, but hey, okay. Um, then we have the animus. The animus is, instead, is the masculine side, that the masculine side of a woman, of a female, of the female psyche. Um, and again, masculine tendencies. Um, mm, and when we find these traits in a woman, um, mm, you know, the woman is assertive, and has chara- character traits usually that are usually um, given only to men. um, and there's also another side, um, the which is defined by Jung, the animus ridden women. Um, uh, and is basically about the women who focus all their attention all their efforts, um, like on their career, and it's nearly seen like an overcompensation. um, um, to mm, it's an overcompensation uh, to the um, towards men, basically, because there's that the domination from men. So the woman reaction is, um, they want to prove themselves by, you know, usually the career, the power, and the high rank job is reserved only, is more embraced by men than women. So to compensate for that, women women with the animals, and we have it all, do that, um, and mm, in its in its unconscious, unconscious form, mm, the animus is a compound of spontaneous and spontaneous opinions, um, which anyway can have an impact on the woman emotional life, um, um, while the animals um, mm, is still a compound of feelings, but um, but these feelings are uh, distorted. Um, um, not distorted. They put off men understanding. Um, so what happens is that um, animals, so men, like animals likes to project um, mm, upon intellectuals and heroes. um, Hello, Julie. um, Including and mm, uh, so it's basically as I said before, the so-called alpha man. Good evening, Julie. Thank you for joining. Um, um, and these are, I don't know now if um, I would uh, um, I would stop here to um, I would stop here with the archetype, because with the archetypes, because what comes next is another important part. Is not only about, the type of personality, introvert, extrovert, the four functions. I already I have already touched upon those, so but this is explains things better. This part is quite fluid to go through. The symbolism, the synchronicity, and Jung was a strong believer um, on a psychic. Um, and there's and astrology as well. Not in the way it's used, but anyway, he would use astrology. Um, but the the important part that was coming now, as usual, I forget that it's only 1 hour, is the work that Jung did with dreams and dream interpretation, which is very it's another part which is it's very important, and is very relevant to what what we do in spirituality as well. So that's why I'd rather stop here and go through the part about dreams and dream interpretation next week. Maybe the other part about personality types. Can be skipped. Um, what I don't want to leave out are those parts that we recognize and we know about when we do, and we apply as well in the spiritual work. So Eh, thank you everybody for being here. Really grateful. Thank you for your patience. Most of all, I hope this hasn't been too heavy to follow or to listen to, and I hope it's of interest. Um, that's my purpose for this talk. Um, so I hope to see you next Monday, and to see you next Saturday for the readings on universal spiritualism. Uh, Thank you everybody again. Thank you again to Veronica, and thank you to Stace for doing the admin and the for being the moderator this evening. I'll see you all next on Saturday and next Monday. Have a nice rest of the week, a nice evening, afternoon, and morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much.